Hi, I'm Judy Herman. I'm so glad that you joined me. I'm talking about how to get unstuck so that you can have a dynamic 2018. My blog post, I just posted that this morning. I'd love for you to read it, and it would be a good follow through, but I wanted to focus on some of the points that I talked about in this. How many of you feel like sometimes that you're just living this Groundhog Day? Some of you might have seen that movie where you start out every day and it's the same thing. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like that, don't you? But how to get unstuck, that's what I want to talk about. And actually this lesson, this life lesson for me kind of came at a very unexpected time and an unexpected place. So my husband and I were traveling and I had my iPad. And what I was doing, I was just doing my regular things on it, listening to podcasts and doing all kinds of stuff. And all of a sudden, the screen went blank. So all I could see, and I don't know if you have an iPad or some other kind of smart device, a smartphone, but it was just a blank screen and it had this pinwheel on it and it was going around and around. Well, I tried turning the thing off and it wouldn't turn off. And I tried a bunch of other things. You know how you're supposed to do the home key and then turning it off at the same time? Nothing worked. And we were traveling and my batteries were going down and I needed it. So we stopped at the nearest service store, had the technician look at it, and he showed it to me and did a couple of things, but he pressed the home key a couple times and sure enough showed me I had gobs of apps running in the background of my iPad. I had absolutely no clue that was going on, and I was so new to the technology anyway that I didn't know you were supposed to swipe away apps, but it was taking up unnecessary energy. It was keeping my iPad from functioning, and it was slowing it down. I got to thinking, that's what happens in our lives, isn't it? If we don't take advantage of swiping away the apps of our past. And maybe there's something simple that we need to do to make sense of our past. And whether that's a past from just today, where you got triggered by something, maybe that your spouse said to you or something, or maybe it's from last week, it might have been from 2 months ago, or it might have been from years ago. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we swipe away the pasts of our lives. So that's what this blog post is about. And the reason I think it's so important is that we all have stuff, don't we? And we all have subconscious stuff and we're not even aware of it. But when we have conflict with others, or if we're going through a crisis in our lives, it seems like, some stuff it surfaces. So it's important to live every day and swipe away those pasts and the unused apps that are going on, because it takes away from our present. So here's what I wanted to ask you to do if you're listening. I don't know how many folks are listening right now, but even if you're listening later on or watching this later on, would you write in the comments, first of all, I'm curious about how are you doing on your 2018 goals so far? Here it is, the third week, going on to the third week in January. And did you already kind of let them fall off the radar? And let me know if that's the case. And also, secondly, let me know, is there anything that you do on a regular basis where you're taking inventory of your life and making room to be productive? So let me know that, because I'd like to know what your ideas are. Here's some ideas that I have that maybe will be helpful to you. Speaking of daily swiping of the apps, this is what I normally do. And keep in mind, everything that we go through in life, the good, bad, and ugly, there's something to learn from it. It's like when we go through things that are hurtful, or there's something to glean from it. And that's what I try to help folks do when they come into counseling, and how to make meaning of their lives and of the past so that it's not wasted. None of the things we go through, none of the pain we go through is wasted. But there's meaning and there's wisdom that comes from it. And we don't want to miss out on that, because it's like it's calling us to learn from it and to have wisdom. But one of the things I do is what you call a daily examine prayer. This is an ancient technique, actually, that the Desert Fathers in early Christianity did. I found a YouTube video, and it's only 5 minutes long, if you want to tap into that. But that's in the blog post that I wrote about getting unstuck for a dynamic 2018. And then another thing I do, which I didn't realize the impact that this would have. I've been doing it for about a year or so. I've mentioned it before, but I do this 5-minute journal. And what it is, it's a gratitude journal. So you wake up in the morning first thing and you prime your neurons and your brain to think of 3 things that you're thankful for. Right before you go to bed at night, you write down 3 amazing things that happened. So it primes your brain to be looking for those things. Because if we're not looking for those things, then our mind is automatically going to go to the negative, and we're going to go to those negative meanings, and that can be fertile ground for depression and anxiety. Actually, I've got to admit, I shared this with a friend of mine who was getting counseling, and she said, Judy, you know what? I've been doing this, and I no longer need to come to counseling. I'm just feeling so much better. So it can really help your mental health. The authors of this is so interesting, but they do compare that if you don't take inventory of your life on a regular basis and even a daily basis to be thinking of things that you're grateful for, it's like not brushing your teeth, and the plaque builds up on the brain. I thought, wow, that's really interesting. By the way, Oprah does this, and a bunch of successful people do these kind of practices to help them stay grounded. So that's a daily thing that I do that I want to highly recommend. When it comes to weekly, I've got a journal that I'm just now trying to get used to this idea of evaluating my previous week, taking account. And, you know, we all do this, or hopefully we do this. We balance our checkbooks or our accounts on a weekly basis. We find out, what we've spent. Some of us are better at this than others are. But it's like taking an account of how your week went. And what do you need to, what have been the lessons from the week? What do we need to focus on in the next week? Now, another thing that I love doing, I've written a blog post about this, and I need to do a little bit more exploration for anybody that wants information on, well, what do you do at these retreats? I go on an individual retreat, and that's about every 90 days. There's a retreat center that is about an hour from here. There's something about getting away from technology and getting away from your daily grind and responsibilities and taking inventory. A lot of times these are spiritual retreats for me. I'll take my prayer journal and I'll write. Other times I'll mix it with my business and where I'm spending my time. And that can be very revelatory to me, because you're not in your daily grind space just going and going. It's a good way to get grounded. So I would highly recommend that. It's a spiritual retreat that I do every 90 days, and I evaluate the previous 90 days, and then I get grounded in what is important. Because here's the reality. Life's going to catch up with us, isn't it? There's crises that are going to come, the unexpected, and there might be a betrayal that you go through. And things happen just because life is a struggle. And sometimes we get surprised that it is, but it's supposed to be. That's how we grow, and that's how we learn, and this is a way to do it. Also, as you well know, we're all human beings, right? And we have stuff even from the past, from our childhoods, and again, those might be apps that have been there for a long time and it's taken a lot of energy. It's a good time to come into your therapist and have a session and just kind of see how things are going and see how you're doing. And those closest to you, obviously, they're going to notice whether you're irritable, whether you're working too much, and what other undercurrent stuff might be interfering with the current relationship. So I want to just encourage you to do that. Without moving on and on, I'm so excited because I've got people. Deanne, you're here. Thank you so much. You had some ideas, awesome ideas today. She's a writing coach, and Summer Ray, hey girls, and these are my writer friends. So thanks for joining me. I've learned so much from these gals, and they really excite me. But that's what group does for you, actually, and that's what I wanted to talk with you about. I am so excited I can hardly stand it, but I'm doing this professional women's focus group, and it's starting the end of this month, the end of January. Now, I'm doing a group in my office in Chattanooga, so if you're local, please let me know sooner than later. Call my phone number. Just go to judycounselor.com or private message me here. That would be great. And we'll set up a time and see if a group is a good fit for you. If you are not local, I'm also doing an online group. There is something about getting with other like-minded people who really are your cheerleaders and will cheer you on, and notice those things perhaps that you don't notice about yourself. They may be some positive things, because part of those apps running in the background, they're not all negative things. Some of those are positives that we haven't even recognized, but we need, again, to glean that and glean the wisdom from other people and letting them be mirrors to our souls, so to speak. It is just a beautiful thing. So it's a professional women's focus group. I have had some people say, Judy, I'm interested in the group, but I'm not sure that I would fall into that professional category. Well, just give me a call. Let's just check into that. Maybe maybe you are a stay-at-home mom, but you've got some ideas and you might be a great fit for moving forward in your life and giving you some, zoning you into your purpose. And so, anyway, just want to let you know, don't close yourself off to it, because 90 days is a great accountability group, and it's once every 2 weeks that we're meeting together. I am doing a live Q&A webcam early tomorrow morning at 7:30 and 8:30. So if you can come either of those times, private message me sooner than later, and today I'll send you a link on how to get onto that webcam Q&A call. But I hope that this is helpful to you. Every time you use your device and you're swiping away your apps, remember, swiping away the past, gleaning the wisdom, but making sure you've just got a clean slate to start 2018 and to live in the moment, because your life is so worth it. I'm Judy Herman, helping leaders and families create connection beyond conflict, and I'm so glad that you joined me. And thanks so much, ladies and guys, if you're on. So thank you. Talk with you later.